And good morning. Hey, it's Ken Walls. Welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I have a great friend of mine that is a guest on the show today, and his name is Jason Ault, and I want to go ahead and welcome Jason to the show. Jason, welcome.
How's it going?
Dude, it's going fantastic. Hey, I really appreciate you investing the time to take time out of your day and come on the show and share your experience and your story with my audience, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy that you selected me.
Oh, dude. You have been you've been a friend of mine now for a while. I don't even know how long. But we never even met in person until you were out in Vegas, and we met in person, right? In Vegas?
We met one time at your office in Powell before the move to Vegas.
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's right. So, but like we just recently in the last probably year started kind of hanging out together. You live here locally and we never even hung out until recently, but I know a little bit of your story, and I also know that you are a tried and true, tried and true entrepreneur. You've been through it, and you've accomplished some amazing things, man. I mean, I was looking for pictures last night to promote you being on. I was stalking your Facebook page, and I'm like, dang, there he is at Google. I didn't know you did business with Google also, man. Like you're a baller, man. People need to know about you. So and we have Nikki Ault on the stream. She is looking forward to this one, she says.
She's obligated to say that.
I don't know if that was part of the wedding vows, dude. So
for better or for worse.
That's right. So let's start out with tell everybody where you were born and raised.
Well, that's an interesting question. I was born in Denver, Colorado, on my parents' vacation, but raised in Chillicothe, Ohio. My parents went out to Denver. My dad's parents lived out there, and they were getting ready to go up into some campground and some land that they owned. And right as they got to the campsite, my mom started hemorrhaging, and she was cleared to go to the mountains. The doctor said you're good to go, but I decided that I didn't like the elevation and decided to come 2 months early. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So I actually had to be life flighted along with my mom, of course, back to Denver. And that's where I spent the first 6 weeks of my life at the hospital. Tubes, everywhere, needles everywhere, poked, prodded, and here I am today. But the interesting thing about the whole experience and birth in Denver is, we were my grandpa was looking over this mountain, as things were escalating with my mom, and not a religious man whatsoever, but he looked over this valley and he said, Lord, if you let him live, you can have me. Well, almost 2 years to the day, they went back up to the campground, to the land that they owned. He passed away of a massive heart attack.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, dude. Wow. Yeah. That just gave me chills all over my whole body. Wow.
It was interesting. We went back for the first time ever. I've been back to Colorado a couple times, but last year we decided to go back as a family, visit that land, and it meant so much to me to hear the story, to go back and visit it, that I actually got the coordinates as well as the overlook tattooed on my arm.
Yeah, I've seen that. Show everybody it, man. It's a great tattoo. That's awesome. I mean, that is so cool, man. Wow. Like, talk about a way to enter the world. Like, wow. So let's talk. And so is that where you were raised? Was in Colorado?
For the first 6 weeks, and then I was actually still so small I couldn't fit in a car seat, so my parents drove me back in a dresser drawer. And I actually had to make a pit stop in Kansas City because I had a little bit more issues, but finally made it back to our home place, which was Chillicothe.
Chillicothe, Ohio.
Ohio, yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. So you were raised in Chillicothe?
Raised in Chillicothe, until '99. My dad decided to retire from the phone company there, and he, got into the wireless field with Sprint Nextel at that time, and did not like the long commute, so we decided to move to Columbus.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what phone company?
Chillicothe Telephone Company. It's a local CLEC. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. My wife's father worked for retired from a telephone company as well.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I forget the name of it now. It's a big one too. but anyway, so you were raised in Chillicothe till what age?
Until 1999.
Okay, and then you moved to Columbus.
Yep. Moved to Columbus, Grove City area.
Yeah.
And now here we are in Dublin.
Right. The home of the Muirfield Village Golf Club.
Home of Wendy's and
Wendy's and
good place.
Yeah. Dublin's a great town.
Absolutely.
Jack Nicklaus, the Columbus Zoo. Like there's all kinds of stuff right there. Well, the zoo's I guess more Powell.
Yeah.
But anyway, so, and there's going to be a lot of people that watch this that are, all over the world too. So for reference point, Chillicothe's about the 45-minute south or an hour south.
Yeah, it's the better part of an hour south, Ohio's first capital, twice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, what was, tell me what, I always feel like there's some sort of childhood influence that kind of helps us, or I don't want to say dictates, but kind of helps us become who we become as adults. What do you think the biggest influence was for you?
I think the biggest influence for me was my dad, and even going back one generation further, his father, who ultimately passed a couple years after my birth. He was an entrepreneur. He owned a construction company, a couple bars. He owned some real estate, multiple real estate. So he had, a lot of tenants and things like that. So ultimately, my dad, took that entrepreneurial bug, and I took the entrepreneurial bug watching my dad, work in, the Chillicothe Telephone Company, but also a realtor on the side. He had a, structured cabling business as well. He had a limousine company for a while, an ATM placement company, or not ATM, a phone card placement company. So just watching him, always try to better everything for our family. And ultimately I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to try this entrepreneurial thing.
Wow. So you got the entrepreneurial bug from your father and grandfather.
Yeah, exactly.
But it doesn't sound to me like your father really got the entrepreneurial bug until later in life.
Yeah, it was always side businesses.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So even when he was at the phone company, he had all this side stuff.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So growing up, were you involved in any of these businesses, like running them, working in them?
Yeah, so right around the age of 12 or 13, when I was actually, old enough to crawl under the houses to run cabling, so he didn't have to.
Yeah.
We've been working together in some capacity, since then, and whether it's helping him run it or just being a laborer, or just watching him and him mentoring me, sitting back watching.
Wow. So your father had the biggest influence in your life, it sounds like. What was it like, growing up? It sounds like you had the all-American perfect childhood dream kind of thing going on. But I mean, what was it like? Was there, especially I guess moving from Chillicothe where you're 15 years old and like, so you had to say goodbye to friends, probably,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. Growing up, it was, I had a sibling that, she's 6 years younger. And, I would say it was the, all-American, growth, childhood, if you will.
Yeah.
Moving at 15, I saw it as just another adventure. I didn't mind it so much.
Right.
But, watching, my dad through the different businesses, I've been able to watch, the struggles and, some of the failures and see how he, jumped forward and, mitigated through some of those difficult times. So, but, as far as family life, it was always great, but I was able to watch, how, adversity was overcame, and that's really, what, gives me my motivation today.
Right. So when you moved to Columbus, you said Grove City, so that's southwest part of Columbus. What happened there? I mean, so you were a freshman, a sophomore in high school?
Just started my sophomore year. It was October of '99.
Okay.
Graduated from Franklin Heights. That's actually where I met my wife. I met her as soon as I moved, but we began dating our senior year, so high school sweethearts. So we've been together, I think, more years now than we've been alive, if my math is correct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we've not killed each other yet, so.
Yeah. You guys are a great couple. You're good friends of me and my wife. So, so you guys met in high school.
Yeah, met in high school.
Wow.
And then, she went off to play volleyball at Urbana University and then, decided to come back after her grandfather passed away and finish out at Ohio Dominican. I stayed here locally and started DeVry. Okay. Realized that, networking, computer information, and coding wasn't necessarily, my forte. So I exited that, went to Columbus State, then really decided about 6 months before we were going to get married that the whole college thing wasn't for me, period. And I decided to, take a leap and really start the entrepreneurial journey with my dad jumping on board to a commercial signage company that he was a partner in and helping grow the operations and some of the sales from that. And my wife thought I was crazy.
And how did that go?
It went well for the first 5 years that I was a part of it. But 2008 happened, and with that business, it was a lot of working with new builds and RFPs. So a lot of construction dollars dried up. So we started grasping at straws and trying to diversify to everything that we thought would be the next thing to catapult us and take us through the dry spell. Quite honestly, it ended in failure. I ended up losing everything right after Haley was born. My parents lost everything, and I really had to make a decision. Am I staying in this entrepreneurial thing, or do I go out and get a job? And
right.
So we shut the doors of that business on a Friday. And that next Monday, I had met with my dad again, met with a longtime friend of mine, and said, "Hey, I'm ready to try something new. I've got to do something. I've got a kid and a wife to take care of." And Kaufman Media was born.
Wow. So let me get this right. So you had a business, literally, like your first journey into being an entrepreneur, your business just crashed.
Mm-hmm.
And you and your parents lost everything.
Yeah.
And then you went to you thought, well, I've been so successful as an entrepreneur, I should just keep doing it.
Right.
That is the sign of a true entrepreneur. So yes, I screwed up really bad. Let's do that again. No.
There's a lot of nuggets of wisdom that we gained from that, actually. So
Sure. I'm just teasing. I'm saying it because I can totally relate to it.
Sure.
So Kaufman Media, which is the company you have now, Kaufman Media, and so. Along the way, though, what are some of the, how do I word this? So you had a business fail.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it wasn't like 2 or 3 months later. You probably were like the next day, like, oh my God, what? Like, I got drunk Saturday because of all this, and Sunday I stayed drunk, and then Monday came around. And you're like, okay, I can't be drunk anymore. I gotta make money. I'm just kidding, but like, right? At some point, you're like, probably pretty quick, right?
It was. I mean, while that was a traditional signage company doing backlit signs, neon signage, we started doing a little bit of digital signage, toward the tail end. And, I saw a glimpse of, the future, if you will, with recurring revenues and, slim down structure where, you don't need a 6,000 square foot building and bucket trucks and, manufacturing, and kind of went back to my roots. I've always been passionate in technology. So while, the college thing with technology wasn't for me, it's still where I like to be. So in the last few months, as we knew what the inevitable was going to be, as we were winding it down, we started putting a plan together of, how to go forward because, we need to do something.
Right.
So literally, we kind of buttoned everything up, and then on a Friday, shut the doors. On Monday, we kind of opened up Kaufman Media in a friend of mine's office. He lent us a little bit of space, and then we started figuring it out from there real fast.
Wow, man, that's crazy. So and you and your dad, I mean, you lost everything, so it wasn't like you were sitting on stacks of cash.
Right.
Like huge reserves to just kind of coast along. You had to figure it out. And so what do you think the most important thing for a business owner, an entrepreneur, what's the most important thing that they can do? Or I guess what's the most important part of their makeup to be successful as an entrepreneur?
To keep going even when you fall down and get mud on your face, stand up really fast to wipe it off. Some of those scars and dried mud's still going to be there, but you keep trudging along and, you don't give up. You use this mantra right here. You 10X it. You get out there, you hustle, you bust it and get stuff done. And eventually you'll see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I was recently at your house for a cookout. And you said you were up till 3 a.m. the night before or something.
That's right.
Like working.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes.
Yeah, we have clients that had issues, and we're working through the night to make sure that it gets fixed because at the end of the day, that's what keeps the lights on.
Right. So what's just so everybody can understand what Kaufman Media is. Why don't you tell everybody like a little bit about what your company does so they understand it?
Yeah, so Kaufman Media is a digital signage company, and really, if you think about a screen, that in a place of business that you've been, a bank, a quick service restaurant, a hospital, doctor's office, that's showing content that's not live TV, we are the hardware, the software, the installation and the support around that ecosystem. And then, our biggest driver, because the hardware is the means to our end, is our software. Clients are able to have screens all throughout the world, but then they can log into any internet connected device and control those screens through a web browser. And, we work in the quick service restaurant vertical, education, K through higher ed, corporate communication, healthcare, retail, and no business is the same, even if they are in the same industry. Our kind of mantra is our focus is your message. So whatever your message is, we help you get that across in a digital format.
Wow. So like the screens that you would see, the big TV screens or walls of screens like at the airport or something, you guys control messages on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything from a 10-inch display all the way to 7-foot by 60-foot video wall.
Wow. And I know you just did a huge project down at the Columbus Convention Center, which is like massive. Yeah. But like, let's back up just a little bit, because I have to believe that as an entrepreneur, entrepreneurs, we don't think the way normal people do. I don't think, right? Like, so I mean, dude, give me something juicy, man. Did you get in any trouble, or were you just like the perfect kid always? I mean, come on, man.
Of course I got in trouble.
Okay, did you? How? What do you like steal a strawberry from a fruit stand? What? Come on. What was? I mean, there is no way, and I know you well, but I don't know. You're very tight-lipped about stuff. But maybe I should be interviewing your dad and ask him about it.
I think he's watching, so you can bring him on.
Yeah. No, but what'd you do? Give me something juicy, man. What kind of trouble did you get into as a kid?
Oh, one that sticks out to my mind is, I think it was coming into my senior year. I decided to go to a party after a football game, and taking some libations. Maybe 20. Or so. Who's counting?
Right.
And, I decided to go home. A friend of mine drove me home, and I remember trying to get into my house and couldn't get the key in the hole. A little difficult. So my dad ends up opening the door.
Oh,
and,
God.
I had this huge wad of gum in my mouth to try to mask the smell of the alcohol.
Right.
And he goes, "Hey, you okay?" And I'm like, "Yep." And we had a split level, so I bolted downstairs to the basement. And he follows me, and he goes, "Have you been drinking?" I was like, "No," slurring the words. And he goes, "Okay, well, let's go to the ER and have them test your alcohol level then." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I've been drinking." So I went to bed that night and woke up the next morning. I had to go to work, and he goes, "How you feeling?" I'm like, "Oh, a little rough. Everything's a little fuzzy. My head's pounding. It feels like there's a lot of people with hammers pounding in there." And he goes, "Well, there's your lesson. Just don't lie anymore." So.
Wow. So, that's I may have done that a time or two myself. So I mean, again, it sounds like you just had. It sounds like you had a pretty amazing upbringing. If I would have, we won't even go into that. I went home like that a couple of times. I'll just leave it at that. But so you went through this first business, and I mean, what are some of the emotions you guys were going through, like as you realized that this thing was coming to an end?
We realized, a lot of things actually, and talk about a roller coaster of emotions. I'm sure we've all seen the graphic of the entrepreneur of, "Hey, I'm doing great," all in one day. "Oh crap, my life sucks." And then, "Oh, yep, I just closed the deal." So it was like that almost every day and every minute. We started realizing that the team we had put together, the employees, and even some of the management just wasn't the right people on the bus, and that was one of the eye openers of whatever we do next, we have to ensure that everyone's has the same vision in mind, and not that other people's visions were wrong. It's just that we weren't congruent together, and that that was disenfranchising the efforts to try to keep the momentum going. We realized that the emotion. That we're losing our baby, if you will. It's like losing a child, because you're building it from nothing. So we just kept putting in money, trying different things. We were a signage company, but we jumped into apparel and to add specialty products, and even opening up different offices and then consolidating those, trying different salespeople, anything that we could do as an effort to keep the boat floating, if you will. But never realizing until it was too late that we probably should have failed fast and then picked up and started anew. So that was probably the biggest lesson that we learned is we should have failed faster. Cut forward and move on.
Your lovely wife says freak out mode from the wife. LOL.
Oh jeez. Yes.
Well, I bet she was.
We had a 3-month-old child. It was our first child, Haley. We had a house, and 2 cars, and those take money.
That's weird how those take money, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
And then you started Kaufman Media. What do you think, like, with Kaufman Media? You know, what's weird is we met. I remember you came over to Powell, but we met. You were like 10, 15 minutes away from my office. Yeah. We didn't know each other, and we met because of one commonality. What was that?
I think that was Mr. Grant Cardone.
Yeah, we met because of Grant. Isn't that crazy?
I saw your show on the GCTV.
Yeah. And you're like, wait a minute, that dude's right over there.
Yeah.
Hello,
Ohio, I know that place.
Hey, yeah, it's like right over there. So, what do you think the biggest, what's the biggest contributor to, because you guys are doing some amazing projects now, and you got a lot of great things, going on, including a really awesome new website coming soon.
I've heard we have one of those coming.
Yeah. So what do you think the biggest, what's the biggest contributor to your success so far with your new, well, it's not new now, but your Kaufman Media?
Yeah, we're just over 8 years old.
Yeah.
I think there's 2 things that come to mind. One is team, ensuring we have the right people on the bus and in the right seats. All the way down to, I have 3 partners plus a 4th that came on in 2013, but, 3 of us that were founding partners. And then all, our employees and the extension team that we have as well. They all believe in the vision of where we want to go, and they all think with the company in mind first. But then, I think that the second biggest thing is we're focused. We're an inch wide, mile deep in digital signage. We don't do IT. We don't do audio video. We stay very focused in our lane, and that's something that we didn't do before, where we were just trying to grasp at anything that would bring revenue into the door.
Right. So you got very focused on one thing.
Yeah.
I think Hank Norman and Steve Carless, they talk a lot about that. The owners, the guys from Two Market Media that create stars. Mm-hmm. So you've remained laser focused on the one thing.
Absolutely.
How important has sales skills been for you?
Very important. Obviously the lifeblood of any organization. And that's something that we're, constantly, retooling all the time. Next week, my dad and I are actually going down to Grant's sales boot camp, spending 3 days with him, and hopefully coming back and torching our current sales process. But sales has been a very big driver for us. So we've actually orchestrated the business a little differently this time, where a lot of our partners feed us leads. Whether it's our hardware or software partners or, agencies or IT firms feeding us leads, and we become the closer, if you will, for that.
Wow. So you're going to his boot camp next week?
Yep.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, you'll get to hang out with him probably. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, with as you've gone along, and I mean, dude, you can't be an entrepreneur and not get to know or hang out with other entrepreneurs. It's just like attracts like.
Sure.
And what do you think, in your opinion, what is the biggest thing that you see? Excuse me, not necessarily entrepreneurs, but just people in life. What's the biggest thing that you think holds people back from success and or happiness in life?
Great question. I would say fear, the fear of failing. Because had I stopped at try number 1, I wouldn't be where I am today. If I would have just, tucked my tail between my legs, went and got a job, if you will, doing God knows what, I wouldn't, have even known what was possible. What am I capable of doing? What am I capable of overcoming? So I think fear is the biggest limiting factor, to anyone realizing, their fullest potential.
How much of a because we all experience fear, all
Sure.
of us. How much of it when you left or closed down? I know your wife really well, man, and so I can't even imagine what it was like having a 3-month-old baby and your wife, and you just closed down a business that went under because of whatever, and you look at her and say, I think it's a good idea that we start another business. I can't even imagine how that conversation went. But how much did fear play a role in that conversation?
Oh, no, that conversation was smooth as silk. She's like, yeah, no problem. just kidding.
Okay, now you know he'll lie about other things too. I know his wife. I guarantee it didn't happen like that.
No, it was a big factor. There were many times where I would fight the conversation in my own mind, as well as have some very passionate conversations with Nikki on is this the right thing to do? My dad and I had a lot of long conversations as well, because we both took the previous setback very hard. With losing everything, that's not a tough thing to do, and he and I had a lot of heart-to-hearts because, as a father, he didn't want to see his son lose everything at 25 years old with his first grandchild.
Yeah, right, right.
So, a lot of hard conversations. While I shared some office space with, one of my co-founders, I had to do a lot of things to, make money at the very onset. So I used the previous skills of creating signage and was producing graduation banners in my garage in 105-degree temperatures for 2 or 3 summers as we were trying to snowball this thing on a bootstrap budget. Again, wasn't sitting on piles of cash.
Right.
So, it was definitely, always something that, I was fighting with, I would say, on a daily basis.
Yes. And Nikki just gave like a rolling eyes emoji.
We'll talk about that later, Nikki.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. I mean, maybe I'm making her sound like she's a psychotic. She's not. She's an absolutely wonderful, wonderful person. But I'm married too, and I know what it's like. I know what it's like I know what it's like to lose everything. I know what it's like to lose a house, to because you're so passionate about making your dream work and I know what it's like. And my wife and I have had some, how did you word it? Some passionate conversations about, so Nikki says, now that was fun, insert sarcasm. So again, this show is literally, it's about helping people have a breakthrough. And, and I truly believe that we gain a lot of power by hearing other people's stories. Like we get a lot of power from that.
Sure.
And you and I mean, you've been to my house, I've been to your house, we've hung out, like we've shared a lot of stories and I mean, it's not easy. And I don't care if maybe you're an employee at a company. I've had employees that work for me that I know they felt like, man, I got a good job and here I am, the owner, the guy doing payroll that's always concerned about, am I going to make payroll? And they think they're secure. So and I'm not saying they're not, but I'm just saying that it's an emotional freaking roller coaster for business owners. It's huge. Right?
I definitely agree.
So with the biggest mistake you see, the biggest thing that's holding people back is fear.
Agreed. Yes.
That seems to be a very common answer. If somebody came to you right now, and whether they're an employee of yours, or somebody that you don't even know, but they tell you hey, I'm struggling, I can't pay the electric bill, I can't, I'm getting evicted, or I'm broke, I'm busted, I can't find 2 pennies to rub together, what advice do you give that person that just can't figure it out? What do you say to them?
Well, I think Grant says it best. There's always money out there. It's just who's got it. So really stepping back and thinking, okay, how can I create another stream of income? So if someone is a digital strategist at a company, and their job is to only, produce outwardly facing content. Well, could they produce content, content creation services and sell that out to the client base of that organization, to create additional revenue? Very similar to what Rob Sislo did with Grant, producing his content, but then, sidebarring it into 10X Productions as it is today. So just taking a look at, how can I diversify myself and create multiple streams, even starting from the bottom. There's always ways to go out and get more money that is aligned with what you currently do today.
I've seen, I don't know if do you follow Sean Whalen?
Yes, sure do.
So I'm friends with him on Facebook at least, and he does some unbelievable things where he'll go out to a flea market, a garage sale, and find something dirt cheap and then resell it for 10 times the price on Facebook Marketplace or whatever. And it's that kind of ingenuity. I remember years ago, a friend of mine who owns a huge financial planning company in Westerville, part of Columbus. Mm-hmm. I went over and I was hanging out with him one day, and this guy's a multi-millionaire, and he's like, "So how's it going, man?" And he's always real energetic and hyped up, and he's like, "How's it going?" I'm like, "Dude, it's it's all right." He's like, "Well, that didn't sound real. What do you mean it's all right?" And I go, "It's all right, dude. I mean, what do you want me to say? It's all right." He's like, "Dude, so you're broke?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am." And I can't. He's like, "With what you do, you shouldn't be broke. Like, what's the problem?" I'm like, I don't know. I just can't seem to find business and blah blah blah. All the BS excuses that we make, and we've all been there. And he says, "Ken, listen to me. There's a guy right here in Columbus, Ohio. I don't know his name, don't even know the name of his company, but I know what he does. He drives around and he has people hire him to go out and pick up their dog shit off their yard." I go, "What?" He goes, "This guy has a business picking up dog poop, man." And I go, "Okay, I'm not picking up dog poop." He goes, "I'm not saying go pick up dog poop. I'm saying he picks up dog poop and makes over $1 million a year picking up dog poop. That tells me you can make money doing anything. The only thing holding you back are your excuses." And that I'll never forget that, because at that moment all I could think about was, "Oh my God, I don't want to pick up dog poop." I better figure this out, or I'm going to be picking up dog poop. So, you can make money if you apply yourself and you have a plan, right?
Absolutely. My business partner, Roger, has a very similar story of his, landscaper, the guy that mows his yard, was struggling. He goes, "Go out, there's a way to make, 6 figures." And he helped him develop a path to go out, get enough business. And now he's got a small team and, knocking down, $150,000 a year and, doing okay. Yeah. So it's just, thinking outside, again, figuring out how to break through the wall, limiting fear, whatever's stopping you, and going out there and finding the opportunity.
Right. Randy Hunt says, woof, woof. So, I think, again, it all comes down to what you were talking about, and that's the fear. What are those fears? We make so many fears up in our head that prevent us from success. It's sickening. It's absolutely sickening. And I mean, we've all been there. We've all been through it.
Yeah, the mind is a very powerful thing, and if you can't get past what that is, you'll never know what can be.
Right. So Jason, tell me, talk a little bit about some of the successes that you've had with Kaufman Media so far, because it's growing. I know it's growing. I've also been to your office. Nice place. And so talk about because it was just you and your dad, right? At first.
It was, my dad and I doing, mainly the day-to-day, type stuff, and then my business partner, or our business partner, Eric, who, loaned us our initial, cubicle, if you will.
Yeah.
But, he's pretty much, silent in that aspect, just knocking on doors, trying to drum up business, drum up relationship. We've been fortunate to do some pretty cool projects at Sprint headquarters in Overland Park, Kansas, Bristol Motor Speedway. We did a really great project with the STEM initiative and the Pathways to Prosperity back in 2013 for the Central Ohio schools. To date, you mentioned earlier the Columbus Convention Center, doing a big video wall there, along with some other unique things. Piet Mondrian was a famous artist, and so we did something that is reminiscent of his style of design. So we incorporated architecture, traditional art, and digital together. And working on some really cool rollouts with some large quick service restaurant chains at the moment, into the tune of multiple hundred sites.
Dude, like when you say, are you talking like big like Wendy's, things like that, or like you don't have to disclose the client, but
yeah, no, there's a large sub shop based in Ohio.
Okay.
That, they've got about 800 locations. A pizza chain that has about 900 that we're working with at the moment.
Nice.
Yeah. So doing their digital menu boards, and then
Now, would that include like the menu for the restaurant, or?
It will. Yeah. It'll pretty much just be the menu. So almost like a McDonald's-esque look and feel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, you got some big things coming.
Yeah, and then our experience center hopefully will be opening for kind of a back-to-school kickoff, so we can bring people in and show them what we do. That's been a 2-year process in the making. So from building out and taking space from the building next door to us, blowing through those walls, and having LG sponsor it, so all of their gear will be in here. We're excited for that to unveil and kind of open it up to the public as a after-hour space, or our clients coming and seeing it.
That's so awesome, man. Ben Reif is on. He says Kaufman Media is on fire.
What's going on, Ben?
Ben Reif. I don't know Ben Reif.
He's the CEO of Bullfrog.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
I heard something about Bullfrog. Was it from you and maybe on Grant's show or something?
Yeah. I think they're a big advertiser on some of his shows.
Okay, yeah, because I think I was on their website for a minute, and I don't remember, but anyway, so and Jill Walls is on here, my wife. She says that is awesome. So I guess from the perspective of really making it, and again, you and I have had in-depth conversations about this, but like it comes down to selling.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't know how to sell, you shouldn't be an entrepreneur. Like,
I always say, if you tell me that you can't sell or you don't like sales, you just sold me why you don't like it or you can't sell. Everyone's a salesperson, and we preach that here. Whether you're support, answering problem calls, or in operations, you're selling. You're always thinking and listening for that opportunity to create something out of nothing.
Yeah, yeah, man. I am. Ben says, we advertise with Grant. Yeah, I was texting with Rob Sislow last night. He's been a friend of mine since. I was actually, I think, one of the very first advertisers on the network. So, years ago, before I had my show with him. So, but anyway, so listen, I know that you're a busy dude. I really genuinely do appreciate you coming on and spending the time today. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience to kind of motivate them and help them get, because again, dude, you've lost everything, and you came back and you're a multimillionaire now.
Working on it.
Well, I know, I'm just kidding. So, but you're doing well. You're doing very well, and your company is incredibly healthy. So, what anything else you'd like to share to kind of give people the motivation to get unstuck, to break through that wall?
Just sit down and think through it. Whether you think you're stuck or you really are stuck, it doesn't really matter. Push through. It's going to be very uncomfortable. The first 2, 3, 5 years, may suck. You're going to experience life in a different form. Your way of life may, diminish for that period of time, but it's going to be worth it on the other side, to take the risk and to kind of push through the uncharted frontier. Because if you don't take the risk and you don't push past that fear, you're going to look back, at retirement or, on the deathbed and realize that, man, I should have done it. I always think, I don't want to leave a monetary legacy. I want to leave a legacy of, what I've been able to build to, whether it's our employees, to, help them create a life and be able to build something that goes way beyond what, I'm capable of doing myself. And if you don't push past that pain and fear, you'll never know what's possible.
That sums it up right there. And that's what holds everybody back, the fear.
Yeah.
The fear of, what if I do all this work and it doesn't work out? What if you don't do all the work and somebody else does and it works out for them and you could have had it?
Then you're still kicking yourself.
Yeah. So it's like, dude, just go. That's why I always struggle with hearing people say that that they have a side hustle. I don't get that. Dude, how about just have a hustle? Well, what's a side hustle? I don't even know what that is. Well, I have my full-time job, and then I've never had that, so I can't relate to it. I truly don't. I cannot relate to, having that side hustle thing. I don't get it.
The hustle button has to be always on no matter what it is.
Right. Jill Rainey Walls, I don't know why she has to put her maiden name in her name. I'm kidding. Great interview. This is the type of insight that is so valuable to entrepreneurs as well as those considering opening a business. Thank you, Jill. And Jason, thank you. I appreciate you. Again, coming on, taking the time. What's coming up for Jason and the family and the business? Anything coming?
For the family, I think we have a little trip planned. I don't know what it is, but my wife has a little trip planned at the end of the month. So I'm excited to see what that is. And then we get into Taekwondo season. Both kids are involved with that. So we'll see, if we are traveling around to different meets and whatnot. And then for the business, opening up the Experience Center, we're looking forward to going down to boot camp next week and hopefully coming back and to steal a phrase from Matt Monero, torching our sales process and see if we can't, even further 10x what we've been doing.
That's awesome, dude. Well, I'm honored to call you a friend
Likewise.
and get to hang out with you and your beautiful family. I thank you for coming on, taking the time out of your busy schedule to come on as a guest, and thank you for all of the wisdom and nuggets that you've shared.
Yeah, hopefully, it's been valuable and someone was able to capture it maybe at the right point today. And I've been able to, impart some of my life lessons, out to the viewing audience, whether today or, as it lives on in digital, life form.
Yeah.
Appreciate you having me on. Happy to call you a friend and your family friends as well. And, look forward to seeing what's next.
Yes. Amen. Well, listen, thank you guys. Thank you to everybody who's been on here and shared this out, for the likes, the love, the hearts, the laughing cry faces. Those are all your wife.
It wouldn't surprise me.
And then the shocking awe faces, those are probably her too. Like, I can't believe he just said that. I'm just kidding. So thank you so much to everybody, and we will see all of you tomorrow again. How's everybody follow you, by the way?
Yeah, so kaufmanmedia.com is one of the easiest ways to get in touch with me, but on Facebook, Jason Ault. On Instagram, you can find me at Jason Ault. Twitter, Jason Ault. I make it pretty easy.
Yeah.
And then you can also find us at Kaufman Media on all the platforms as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate you, brother. And we'll see everybody tomorrow. Thank you for joining us and supporting the show. Appreciate all of you. Have a great day.